best food is spiced and seasoned well. And perhaps the same goes for entrepreneurs who've done it a few times. In fact, there's research that says the average age at which a successful founder started their company is 45. I'm not giving away anyone's age here, but suffice it to say, this is not the first startup for our three speakers. Let's find out what they're building next. Please welcome Mary Lee, CEO and founder, The Atlas, Johnny Thorsen, Vice President, Strategy and Partnerships for Spotnana, and T. Fuad, CEO of Pace Enterprise. Please join me on stage. It's so good to have three humans here with me on stage. And, you know, I mean, as cool as the panels are, I have to be really careful that the panels are not going to knock me off stage. But it's fantastic to have three of you on stage. So, quick first question. If you were a spice, what spice would you be? Mary?
Me? Paprika?
Paprika. Johnny?
Ooh, cayenne.
Kaya. T?
Chili padi.
Chili padi, okay, the best. Okay, now we're going to start off with Mary, who is passionate about fixing flights, okay? So Mary, a little bit of background, her first startup was Wing On Travel, China, and then she sold her second Aslan to Fliggy, which is AliTrip, and then joined Mystifly as co-CEO, and now the third startup, The Atlas. So tell us what The Atlas wants to do.
Hi, thank you for inviting me to be here. You're right, I'm extremely passionate on fixing flights. So the Atlas, my startup company, is a new enabler in low-cost carriers and domestic airlines. Why new enabler? So we will offer not only airline tickets prices and salaries, automatic post-ticketing services, customized bundle packages, but also we'll offer the data and production solutions on how to improve volume and revenue for all the flight parties.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Okay, now we move to Johnny, who is passionate. Thank you for flying all the way from Copenhagen to join us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Johnny. Okay, so Johnny is passionate about travel tech and corporate travel. He's worked across startups and corporations, most recently American Express Digital Labs. So his new startup just came out of stealth mode after 2 years in the making. Tell us what Spotnana wants to disrupt.
So first of all, I would like to request that the monitor drops down so we look as big as the people we've seen earlier, right? Because I know we look small in the room. Spotnana is a new startup where we are trying to unbundle travel. And what we mean by that is that today, if you're any startup that want to break into the travel industry, you are immediately facing a number of barriers or walls preventing you from doing so. Best case, you get told you can pay $10,000 or euros and you can now access an API when I tell you so. And secondly, I want to approve anything you build because I'm not just going to let you release to the market. Spotnana is building a completely open API-enabled platform. Everything has an API in front. It's microservices in the back. And it's designed for the industry to start building on top of. You can use our UX capabilities or you can build your own. You can use our content or you can add your own content. And you can be, most importantly, a third-party technology provider, plugging your services into our platform with no approval, with no blockers in place.
All right, so you want to basically break down the walls of travel.
You can think of us as Amazon Web Services, but for the travel industry.
Okay, so T, passionate about entrepreneurship, or is it making money?
Nothing wrong with making money.
Okay, so T's history is he sold Travelmob to HomeAway, he sold SpaceMob to WeWork, and now he's back with Pace Enterprise. So tell us about your latest fintech baby.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, and happy birthday, by the way.
T.
That was... Oh, no one revealed that? Oh, I'm so sorry.
That was a secret. Okay, we're not talking about that. Okay.
Jeez. Well, thank you. Well, look, I'm again, nothing wrong with making money. I'm always passionate about starting something if I do see an opportunity, and I'm really most happy when I'm actually working on things and just being challenged. With Pace, we are a fintech company. that focuses on buy now, pay later at the moment. That's our starting point. But talking about breaking barriers, right? If you kind of take a look, what BNPL is essentially is point of sale financing. And if you take a few steps back, it is about digital financing. And what we're trying to do is to create this social impact where it is about helping those who can access financing easier, give them options. And for those who cannot access them, you give them funds to do that. So ultimately, the company is all about financial inclusion. Our goal is to really not to disrupt, but to really empower the existing financial institutions, to the businesses from travel sector to retail, and ultimately to consumers, and allowing them to really do sustainable spending.
Right, giving them a new way of buying travel.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, right? So we have Mary and Johnny who've really stuck to their lane. And this is my domain. This is what I'm passionate about. And then they really just don't give up. They want to solve the pain points in their sector. And then T, who seems to go where the next big thing is, like, build it, scale it, sell it. Okay, so I'm simplifying it, but I'm curious as to what's your why. And I want to ask the virtual audience as well, and you too. It's like, what's your why when you do what you do? Okay, so T, what's your why?
Do I have to choose from this, I guess?
No. You can give me another answer.
My why is actually quite simple. And look, I've been very lucky where the companies I've started have been acquired. Truth be told, I've never started a company to sell. It's just we've been very blessed that, larger companies like what we built, and we make sure that our why is actually achieved despite whether you get acquired or not. But for me, I think it's to make sure that we have a significant impact to society, I think, right? My first company was Silicon Valley, that we were building things, and IoT, when IoT was not even really described what it is yet. And then I was in travel, I was in real estate tech, and then I'm in fintech. The thing that kind of sort of ties all these things together is actually technology, and is actually to make things better, faster, cheaper, right? And I think for us, is that, and for me, hopefully this is my last one. I'm getting too old now to do another one. It is about making sure that we create a positive change to society.
Okay. So using technology to make an impact, to make it better and cheaper for
Absolutely.
the ordinary pundit. Okay, Mary and Johnny, what's your why? Let's start with Johnny. What's your why?
So for me, the reason I decided to join Spotnana, I'm 56, so I'm past the peak of being the startup player. But I actually want to share the knowledge and experience I've gained through a number of other startup experiences. There's so many smart, creative players out there today that are struggling with how to navigate the travel technology landscape and the politics. And the group of people that are involved in Spotnana, most of us have strong industry background. We all want to find a way of, passing our knowledge on to the next generation of innovators.
Right.
And you can only do that by creating a new platform from scratch. You
so
cannot
to empower the next generation of entrepreneurs. What about you, Mary? What's your why?
So I really believe travel is an essential human experience. Taking a flight is the start of the travel for most of the people in the world. And the flights is one of the biggest cost. So buying a flight online is not a big deal today, but buy affordable, everywhere to anywhere, reliable, customized air tickets is still a thing. I can't stop myself making it better and better. That's my why.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, but flights is hard, right? And it's a man's world. Mm-hmm. So why do you think this is the right time? And I think you have a slide that you're showing with us here.
Yeah, you're right. So flights is hard, but I never thought it's a man's world. So to be honest, right? To be honest, flights has been disrupted for decades. So luckily, I experienced all the disruptions. So today, we won't disrupt anything. We will accelerate making it better and better to all the flight parties, airlines, agencies, and the travelers.
Okay. All right. So Johnny, we move to you because everybody is saying corporate travel will be the last to come back. out of this, and you yourself have said that you're going to change the way you travel as well personally, right? So one challenge for startups in the corporate world was actually the lack of runway, right? And when they got to a certain stage, they either got bought up and then they got trampled, and swallowed up.
Yep.
So Spotnana has raised 40 million from the start, right? So is that enough runway, you think, to do before you get trampled up or swallowed up?
It's probably not enough to see us kind of through to where we want to get to, but it is enough to remove us from the traditional challenge that a startup must generate revenue almost from year one, because otherwise the investors will not give them the second kind of tranche. And the 40 million we have raised comes from investors who are used to making big investments on transformative plays. In other words, it's not the traditional, you can have $1.5–2 million and let me know when you have revenue. So we have the funding in place and the know-how to build this the right way. And the second reason why now is the right time, we believe, is COVID have made the global travel buyers of the Fortune 5000 aware of how broken their processes and their model is. And a growing number of these buyers are now saying, I cannot justify coming back to the same. If I don't come out of COVID with some improvement in my global program and infrastructure, then I've actually failed. This is the easiest time ever for them to drive change. And they're realizing it. It took a long time, but it's happening now.
It's interesting, the startup world has moved into this stage where you have kings now who are really into the long game, as Fritz was speaking, and into the long game. And you have really sort of veterans, from the sector who really do understand how to fix the pipes and all that, right?
I have been in that room looking at the guy eating the sandwich while I'm standing there thinking, why don't you talk to me? It is so true what he was saying.
Yeah. Okay, T, buy now, pay later, huge space in Asia. I got a study by Mashable that says that the BNPL market cap in the Southeast Asia region is set to grow from 7.3 billion in 2019 to $33.6 billion in 2027. So your seed round was 7 figures. You didn't disclose the round.
Yeah.
You had a debt financing round of 8 figures. So how do you differentiate in this highly competitive sector? Because you're coming up against some well-funded players.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's always fun, right, to be the underdog and try to challenge. And you're right about those numbers. At the global level, I think BNPL's opportunity, the addressable market is about $1 trillion, essentially. And if you take all the buy now, pay later companies around the world, they make up less than 2% of that $1 trillion opportunity. Even less if you look at it from an Asia-Pacific perspective. And that gives me, as an entrepreneur, an opportunity to sort of come in and take a look at it. To be quite honest, there's really not one single player that looks at the entire Asia-Pacific market as a whole. We hope to be that. At the end of the day, look, there are some opportunities in that you see some amazing numbers that's coming out from Singapore, for example. There's an article out there that claimed that about 30+% of all Singaporeans have tried one form or version of BNPL. And to be quite honest, I think BNPL was introduced to Singapore maybe about 3 to 4 years ago. So it is definitely exciting, right? And for us, for me at least, I've seen BNPL as a great starting point. My objective is to really take that digital financing and make it as a service, right? And the whole objective is to really serve the different variables and players in the ecosystem, from the financial institutions like banks, traditional good old banks, to businesses like the travel sector, and of course, consumers like you and I, everyone here.
Right. So we talk about startups and their moonshot moment, right? Every startup needs a moonshot moment. And what will it look like for each of you? And T, I'm going to go with you because I think we've seen some players like Klook, for example, partnering with Atome, Agoda too. Do you see an objective for you in the travel sector?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Interestingly enough, we're starting to speak to a lot of folks in the travel sector. Like if you break it down, the entire ecosystem, you got the hoteliers, you got the flights, you got everything in between. To be quite honest, unlike the European and American counterparts, I think the travel sector in Asia their knowledge of BNPL is still very nascent. They have no idea what it is. I spoke to the hotelier recently, not to mention names. They put us into their CFO office. CFO office don't really know exactly what this is. They put us back to the CMO office, and the CMO office don't really know what this is. But they have no idea what the things that BNPL have done for a lot of industries. We have contributed between 15 to 25% of sales to retailers, different segments and different sectors of companies out there. And it's unfortunate that a lot of travel companies here in Asia are still trying to figure out what this is. My sort of advice and recommendation to them is to take this downtime, it's coming up to an end now, to really integrate, to really look into something new and adopt and embrace, right? I think it's getting there. I think with the announcements of a few of our peers working with different companies, I think that's a good starting point. But we'll keep on trying. It's also my responsibility, right, to really educate the market that way as well.
Absolutely. So let's talk about moonshot moment then. Johnny, when will you, what deal do you want to have that you can then say, yes, this is my moonshot moment?
So we have two kind of business areas we're focusing on. One is the very large corporate, so the Fortune 5000. And when we have deployed one of those globally in less than 3 months, which is our goal, then we have a moonshot moment in the corporate travel technology world. The other moonshot moment for us is already approaching. It's when we get one or more TMCs migrating their entire business operation to our platform, because that's part of what we are offering the small to mid-sized TMC community around the world, to move to a modern technology platform and run their business from, instead of running on outdated technology platforms.
Very well defined moonshot moments. Mary, you have a moonshot moment in sight?
It doesn't need a moonshot moment for me. It's a realization after doing a couple of startups, and a realization where we go now.
Where do we go now?
Yeah, it's just a realization.
Okay, an awakening. All right, and then where do we go now? Meaning for you or for the customer?
For me and for the company and for the industry.
Oh, I like that question. Where do we go now? Infinity.0. All right. Okay. What could stop you, T? What could stop you?
Well, there definitely many things. COVID definitely did make it easier. But truth be told, COVID actually has the opposite effect on us. I think it really educates folks about cash management, ability to spread their payments over time. But what could stop us? I think like anything else in my previous lives of running companies, it's execution. I think Kay was talking about diversifying. I think you guys were talking about that and focus. I think there's always that path in the middle where you have to kind of choose your battles. You have to choose your what you're trying to focus on as a company, especially when you're young and you don't have as much funding as a lot of the other bigger players are. You remain steadfast focused on what you do best and make sure you execute super well.
Okay, execution. Johnny, what could stop you?
I actually think our ability to execute as well, because we know the industry needs this. That demand is not going away. It's highly unlikely that some of the established players will suddenly magically evolve on a new modern platform. If they wanted to do that, it would have happened by now. And thirdly, most of the industry is not big enough to take on the technology challenge it is to build a new platform.
All right. Mary, you are self-funded or have you raised your...
Good question. Yeah, we have finished fundraising on July.
In July, you've raised your first round?
Yeah.
Okay, can you disclose how much?
Not small.
Not small, okay, not small, okay. So what could stop you?
Okay, so today, COVID, quarantine, border restrictions stop me going back home. But at this moment, I want to share, only me can stop me. Because if I lose humble, open-minded, kindness, it won't happen in one night. But I will be stopped, just like a boiled frog in warm water.
Oh, okay. Very good. Only me can stop me. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, so life is a journey of lessons, right? And let's talk about the lesson you learned from your last venture. T, what did you learn from WeWork? Which must have been an amazing ride.
It was an amazing ride. Over drinks, I can tell more about you about it. But look, whatever happens, you always kind of look into the good things of things. Of course, there are things that I think all of us have read all the books and seen all the shows about it. But I think it all points back to culture and people. I think it's important that in anything that you do, especially companies that you build, people first is super important. If you don't get that right, you'll never be able to build the best products. You wouldn't be able to build the best customer service. So people is always your first kind of bet. The second thing that I learned, perhaps, is this concept of sequence, right? I think in life, sequence, right? In life, there's always luck and timing. You cannot control luck. Timing, you can kind of control a little bit, but you can always manage and control sequence. And I think that is something that I take with me, not just the lessons from the previous company, but the lessons that I've learned over building so many companies is, and people always ask, like, how do you able to sell all these companies and what are you doing here? How you get to different industry? Sequence.
Sequence, okay. Johnny, what did you learn from American Express?
So I would say on the kind of strategic side, we learned something interesting. When Amex acquired Messi, and this was Amex Card, we in Messi at the time, we were focused 100% on the corporate travel vertical. And American Express Card acquired us to shut down that line of business and only use our technology for the card member business. So they saw a much bigger strategic value in our technology than we had imagined ourselves. So it was such an eye-opener in terms of look at new use cases that you cannot imagine.
Right, because sometimes you don't even know what you have, right?
Nope.
Until somebody comes in and say, hey,
Yep,
All
you
right.
don't know. And then the operational, when you are especially a small startup, make tough decisions fast. Don't delay them. Don't say, I'll think about it for another month, because they will only get harder. The faster you can make them, the more you can accelerate.
Okay. So Mary, you had your experience working with Misty Fly, which is based in Bangalore. You were based there for a while. What was the lesson that you learned from working there?
A lesson from Misty Fly from India. I'm thinking if I could go back to India, I would spend more time on learning and understanding the culture difference and diversity in the teams. India is incredible. It's not building one day.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. So I'm going to wrap up rapid fire one-word answers. Okay. Startups like to solve problems. If there was one problem in the world you'd like to solve that is not now, what is it? T. One word.
Hopefully world hunger.
Okay. World hunger. Johnny?
Sustainability.
Sustainability.
Hate.
Hate. Okay. All right. One word association. Okay. T. Elon Musk.
Genius.
Jack Ma.
Who?
Jack Ma.
Check ma.
Creativity.
Okay. Grab.
Grab. Everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay. All right. And favorite spicy and seasoned food. T.
Rendang.
Rendang.
What was it, sorry?
Favorite spicy and seasoned food.
Oh, Vindaloo.
Vindaloo.
Me?
Rendang Vindaloo. Mala.
Kind of difficult, yeah. Talk to you separately.
Talk to me separately. Okay, it's a secret. All right. Please join me in thanking my... Oh, wait. I have the poll results. What's your why? So most people, majority said to make a difference. We have such a great audience amongst you and such great set of entrepreneurs. Please join me in thanking T, Johnny, and Mary. Thank you.